Good everyone. Good everyone. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning homework session for January the 23rd, 2014. It is Thursday, and this is Quantum Leap. For those that are visiting us for the first time, Quantum Leap has been around in one form or another for about 4 years. We're a private Skype room. We have a private Skype chat. And then each morning we come together to do these live homework sessions and take a look at the market and set up our trading levels. My name's Doug McKay. I'm one of the founders and head moderators. If you want to come check out our Skype group, send me a contact request to Doug_McKay. I'll be the one from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. And we are a self-organized learning environment. Let's get the legals out of the way. This information is for the purpose of educating members who want to expand the knowledge of the business of trading. It's not for trading or investment advice. You and only you are responsible for the trades or investment decisions you make. Trading futures, any instrument involves risk loss. Please consider carefully whether futures or options are appropriate to financial situation. Only risk capital should be used when trading futures or options. Investors could lose more than initial investment. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and any trades you see in here are for education purposes. Please trade your own plan. All right, with that said, here we are back into balance, and I just want to start a little bit differently than we usually do. I want to take a look at a chart, just the profiles only, and you can see that we have this major balance zone. Okay, going all the way back to December the 23rd, the microcomposite VPOC, or the most traded or the most accepted price, is 1832 and a quarter, and we are trading right at that level. So even though we've tried to break out of balance to the top side, we've been unable to do that so far, but every time we come down into this 28 to 32 level, we're getting buyers coming in and holding us up. But we are right back in balance, and this can still break to either side. Although we've got a pretty strong acceptance of this 1832 price, and we'll talk a little bit about this a little bit more. But I just find it amazing that even after going up in the Globex last night and hitting that 1844 price point, that we've come right back down and right at the center of this balance. So let's do our normal routine. We start the morning off looking at the macro to the micro with our key numbers. Then we take a look at macro to micro on the trends in the different time frames. Of course, the biggest number for me right now is this 1837.75. Why? Well, that's because it's the year open. And while we're below it, we have a negative year. We get above it, we have a positive year. And I think it's, why we keep bouncing around in this area is the bears and bulls are trying to take control of the year, and so far we're unable to hold above that 1837.75. Of course, we've got the year high at 1845.75, and of course the other big number is this 1846.50, which is last month's high and the all-time high in the ES. Other than that, nothing really jumps out. Of course, we went and made an 1844 week high in the Globex last night. Going down to the intraday numbers, we had a Globex yesterday open at 1837.50 going into yesterday's RTH session. We had a Globex high at 1843.25. Of course, we put in a new Globex high last night at 1844. Our Globex low, 1834.75. Our main hypothesis yesterday was that we'd come down and test that number and then rotate back up through it. Somebody was mentioning to me yesterday that I put out 3 hypotheses, and it's easy to be correct when you put out 3 hypotheses. Well, I always have a main hypothesis, but it's not a matter of being right or wrong. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I don't need to be right or wrong. What I do is I create 3 assumptions. And based on what the market does, I'm prepared. I already know what I'm going to do based on those. So the reason I put out 3 hypotheses is because I want to be prepared for whatever the market throws at me. I don't want to be caught thinking about what I need to do. I want to be able to react to it. So therefore, I look at the three major possibilities of what could happen. Of course, I'm always going to have one particular bias, which was always be my main hypothesis. But the reason there's three is not so I can say, hey, I was right. The reason, because I don't care if I'm right. I don't need to be right. And trust me, I didn't trade it very well yesterday, so you could even see the market clearly but still execute poorly. But the main thing I wanted to take away with that is there's three hypotheses, so I can look at three possible scenarios and know where I want to do business, how I want to trade it, so I can try to execute properly. Anyway, we opened RTH at 1841. That was right near that CLVN and the LVN, and we rejected below it, and then we went down to that 1834. We had an open auction in range yesterday, and then we broke the IB, the initial balance high and the initial balance low. That's the first hour high and low. And we broke it to both sides, so that created a neutral day. Now, typically, when you get a neutral day, you have a high probability that you can get a neutral day the next day. So we're right back into this balance. Well, we just seem to be falling out of balance right now and coming down to that 28 area again, but we're still in the main distribution and inside of the microcomposite balance area, going back to 23. But typically, when you get a neutral day, you have a high probability of getting another neutral day or a rotational day the next day. So my main hypothesis is looking for rotation today with a possible neutral extreme, where at some point in time, the buyers or the sellers take control, one side takes control, and then takes us out of this balance. We are coiling for a move, and I'm still anticipating at some point in time that we break out of this balance and make a move, either to make a new high of the year and an all-time high, or break down and go down to that lower level and test that 1818 level. Initial balance high yesterday, 41.50. Initial balance low, 1836 and a quarter for 5 1/4 point balance. Kind of a mixed gig in terms of the numbers. We did go down and test that 34. We didn't get quite there. We got down to 1835. Buyers stepped in and took us up and rotated us back up through to one tick the initial balance high. We broke it and just ticked it by or broke it by a tick or two. Ranges are running 11 for the RTH. 13 and a quarter for the full session, and just over 7 1/4 for the Globex session. And then we broke the IB to the low side, outside of the pocket in the secondary pocket. Again, we've been seeing this more and more. We're breaking a little bit later. We run a time study on when the IB gets broken. Typically, it's broken within the first 15 minutes of being set. Lately, it's been breaking a little bit later. All right, let's take a look at the daily so far, and I think we probably just put in a new low, so let me just see what that is. We just put in a low at 1828, so this will just change here, 1828. So our 20-day ATR targets, this is based on the 20-day average true range. Our upside target is 1841.25, and our downside target is 1830.74, which we already actually broke already. 1830.75, call it. News today, well, we had news. We had the unemployment claims, and it didn't look like we reacted to it, but now we kind of broke down. So we had core retail and unemployment claims. Of course, we've got PMI coming up in about 5 minutes with HPI, I should say, and then the big one will be the 9 o'clock Central. All times in here are Central, which will be the existing home sales. So be careful on the the first half hour of trading. And then we've got CV leading index, and then natural gas storage at 9:30 and crude inventories at 10. So let's take a look at the macro to the micro in terms of the trend. Of course, I always like to look at this so I can put it into context where we are within the different time frame trends. Of course, we're very strong on the monthly. We haven't had a close below the 20 SMA. This is a 9 EMA. This is a 20 SMA, and we have not closed below the 20 SMA. Going back now 2 years, 2012 and 2013, we never closed below the 20 SMA. In fact, in 2013, we never closed below the 9 EMA. And we really only had one close, below the 9 EMA in 2012. So we've got good slope and separation. Price is paralleling the 9 quite nicely. We're still trading in the upper distribution of the prior month, so the trend is very strong on the monthly. On the weekly, same thing. We came down, we had this little bit of tech gap, came down and closed it last week, but we bounced off of it and we're still holding above. So the trend on the weekly is still strong, so you really still have to think. And we don't really violate that trend, and why I keep looking at that 1818, because we have to get below that 18 level, or actually below the 1814.75 for us to actually start to look at weakness coming in on the weekly. On the daily, we've a little bit of a different picture. We've come down and we're consolidating. We've lost slope and separation, and right now, currently, we're trading below the 9 and the 20. So we are seeing some weakness coming in on the daily. So this could be the first clue, not necessarily indicative of what's actually going to happen, but we do see some weakness coming in here on the daily. Taking a look at the geometric chart, we're breaking, we're trying to break outside of the downward sloping fork and get above the center line of the upward sloping intermediate fork, and we keep rejecting that. We hit this energy point quite nicely, but now we've broke down and we're below the 9 and the 20, and we're down inside of the downward sloping fork. So I don't think we'll see it today, but you can see a move down to test the lower line of the upward sloping fork, coming off of the center line, coming down and testing the lower line. If we did it today, would take us down into that 1804.75 area. And you know how I keep talking about that 1802.50 area as being key. Of course, we do have an energy point down here between the interconnecting downward sloping fork and the long-term fork, and this is a very key level down here. This is at 1781.50. This is the main target below, and I'll show you why when we get to the composite chart. Just going over and taking a look at the trend in the intraday, so we know what the market's doing coming into the market this morning. Of course, we've been consolidating sideways on the 4-hour. We've now broken down, and we're seeing some weakness coming in to the RTH session on the 4-hour. And I think you're going to see that, all the way down into all of the time frames. We were trending down on the 30-minute. We kind of consolidated, tried to get back above. We've broken back down, and we're seeing weakness down here, and we're actually trading a new low even now. And just one more view down is the 5-minute. Now we are creating a tech gap on the 5-minute, so watch for us to either go sideways and close this tech gap through time, or have a rotation back up to close the gap out, but probably a combination of both time and price. And I probably would think that this tech gap is going to be filled in around that CLVN at 28 and a quarter level. So let's do that. Let's take a look at the composite. All right, so I was talking about this balance zone. This balance zone, oh, come on. This should actually be there. No, not there. One day. So this is the balance zone that I was talking about. Going back, this goes back to December the 23rd, and we had broken out of this balance that we were trading in below where the most accepted price is that 1781.50. It was the microcomposite VPOC of this long period of time. We were trading around that balance area. Then we moved up, and the last most accepted price prior to where they found and where they accepted value prior to the breakout was these 2 days right here with the microcomposite 2-day VPOC at 1802.50. They accepted that. They launched up, they came up. First area that found balance and accepted price was 1822. Then they moved higher. There should be another little profile. I don't know why this is not in here. Right in around these 3 days right here where they accepted value at 36 and a quarter. Then they came back down to this 22, found buyers, came back up into this 1832 and a quarter, and that's where we've been trading around. We tried to break higher, and we were trying to hold value up at that 1839 and a quarter level, but they broke down overnight, and we've come down, and we're testing the lower side of this distribution. There is a CLVN that I'll be using to trade off of, which is this one right here. This is a long-term composite low volume node or price rejection at 1828 and a quarter. If we get above that, look for them to rotate back up into balance again around 1832.25, probably push through to test the other side of that balance at 1834, the CLVN there. We've been using that 34 for the last 5 or 6 days as a level to trade off of. Above 34, look for a rotation back up into that 36 level again, and I'll push through to test the other side of that and that microcomposite VPOC where they tried to hold value higher at 1839 and a quarter. If we stay below 1828, look for a rotation down to test the value area low. Right now, the overall value area low, and you can see we're trading inside of this value area. The value area high is 1839 and a quarter. The value area low is 1824.75. So I'd be looking for a move down to test. If we can't get back above this 28 and a quarter, I'd be looking for a move down to test this 24 area. Really, the number I've got my eye on is this 1823.75 area, which is the CLVN, which I consider to be the major, other side of balance to 32 and a quarter right now. And then below 23, you've got the 22.75 where we first accepted value after breaking out. But the big key line in the sand that I keep talking about, which really will get me thinking for a much bigger rotation lower and a test of that 1802 level is this 1818 level. If we get below 18, I'm going to start selling, and setting up a swing short, and I'm going to sell till my hands bleed when we get below that, because I really think at that point in time we're going to come down and test. We've got the 1813 level where they came down on that one day. We talked about this in homework. You can go back and look at the video from that day. We talked about this 1813 where they came down, distribution, accumulation, and then a rotation back up into distribution. But if we get down below 18, look for 13. But the big number below for me is this 1807 and a quarter to 1806 and a quarter, because 1806 and a quarter is the range high from this whole balance area down here. So that's, if we get below that, then we're coming back inside of this balance, and the first area of responsive buyers stepping in is going to be right around this 1802.50, where they first accepted value and launched from there. And then if we can't hold there and find buyers there, then I'm looking for rotation down to the 98 and a quarter. But again, the big number below us is still that 1781.50. So let's take a look at the overnight so far. Obviously, we've got to adjust the pricing and things could still go lower. We still got 25 minutes before the open, but currently right now our overnight high I don't think is going to change, so that's up at 44, which is that range high from the other day RTH session. Our overnight low right now is 2650. Just one tick above the let me bring this up higher, the range low from 2 days ago. So that's where we came down and tested on that day. We now have our overnight low right there. I would expect us to test this on the open. And then our overnight VPOC is I don't think is going to change with this move down. So our overnight VPOC is at 33. Okay, so let's get rid of this. We don't need that anymore, and let's just bring this down so we can put it into context around what we're looking for. So we are going to be opening up outside of range today. So the first thing, anytime you open outside a range, outside a value, the value area from yesterday, value area high was 1840.75, value area low was 1837.75. So we are going to open out of range and out of value. Anytime you do that, you've got to look for initiative. Well, if we're below, we have to look for initiative sellers to step in here and continue price discovery down and a move down to test this 1823.75. Of course, we have a 96% probability of taking out the overnight high or overnight low. That 96% probability didn't play out. We missed the overnight low. We only missed it by a tick, but we did not take it out. So we actually saw, that 3% or 4% probability yesterday of not taking out the overnight high or low. But that's very rare. So fact that we have our overnight high all the way up here at 844, what do you think the probability is that we're going to come down and take out the overnight low on the open? I think it's it shifts to that's a very probable trade below us. So look for them to come down on the open and test this 1826.50, maybe a push through to this 1823.75. I'll be using the 1823.75 as an area to do business. I'll be looking for responsive buyers to step in there and hold us back, hold us inside of this this value area. Remember the value area low is 24.75, so that's my immediate target below. But generally you'll get a little bit of a push through, and I'll be looking for responsive buyers to step in between this 24.75 and this 23.75. It's only 1 point range, so I'll be looking to do business really between the 23 and 24 level as they take out this overnight high and test the range low from the prior day. If we get below that and buyers do not step in, I think you've really got to keep an eye, and the first target below us is that 1818. And I just went through how important I think that is. And we've got a naked close down here at 1815. We've got a naked VPOC down there at that 1813. There's another naked VPOC and naked close down here at 1802. So we're coming down and we're filling these gaps up right now. I don't know if we're going to break that low. I think we come down. My main hypothesis is to take out this overnight low and test this value area low at 24.75. Maybe push through to 23.75. Responsive buyers to step in and rotate us back up to come up and test the 32.25, which is my immediate target above. Why? Because that's the most accepted price. And then come up to this 36 level. You've got the 34, the other side of balance there. But really, I'll be looking for how they react to this range low from yesterday at 35. But anywhere between 34 and 35, you got to look for sellers to step in here to keep us outside of that balance. So I'm going to actually put my trade area in between those two numbers. If we get above 34, look for them to come up and test the value area low from yesterday at 37.75 with a push through to take out the naked VPOC at 39 and a quarter, and a push through once we're inside of this value. Look for probability of 80% rule coming into play. This is a pretty tight value area, and a move up to test, that 40.75 CLVN that we were using as a area to do business. It's going to be another area that I'm going to do business because I'll be looking for possibility of value area sellers stepping in there and holding us inside a range and coming back down towards that 32 again. So that will be the other area that I'll be looking to do business. Of course, above that, everything shifts to that 42 and a quarter as the main target with the overnight high at 44. Then our extended targets above will be 46 and a quarter, which is that naked close, and 46.50, which is the all-time high. And then we've got a measured move up here at this 18.55.75. So that's basically what I'm looking at and where I'll be looking to do business. Just be careful because it could get pretty choppy on the open. But if you see weakness coming in, look for them to come down and take out this overnight low and test the value area low down here. Let's take a look at what it looks like on the Keltner. Center line of the Keltner is right there at that 31.75, probably be 32 and a quarter by the time we get there if we come up to test it. We are getting some slope to the downside. So if we come down and test the lower Keltner, which will take us down to 25.75, look for a possible close below and a walk the line down to that 23.75 area, possibly even lower down to the 22.75, which was that microcomposite VPOC when we first got up into this area and we held. Above the Keltner center line, look for a move up to 37.50, and that takes us, back in to test that, value area low down from yesterday at 37.75. So that's how it lines up. Let's take a look at gold. We talked about the fact that we are still inside this balance, that we were looking at this 37 as as an area hold. If we didn't hold, look for, we were looking for that first target below us at that 32. We had that microcomposite VPOC down there and the CHVN down here. We did come down, push through to 30. Buyer stepped in, rotated us back up through 37 and up to microcomposite VPOC around 42 area, 41, 42, and push through. And of course, it came up and tested the other side of balance, the CLVN at 12.55, and we were looking for the first target above that at 12.57 area, and that's exactly where we came up. Sellers have come in. Now we're trying to hold this 12.55. So the way I would play this today, if you're trading gold, is right now if we stay above this 12.55 and we can hold, look for a rotation back up to that 57.58 area and a push through to test this 62 range high, but the big number will be the 64.70, and if we can break through there, remember the targets above are 72, 74, and 82. And we still have a long-term, larger target up above us and up at that 13.15 area. Not that I think we're going to get there anytime today, but if we do hold 55, I'm looking for a continued push through to test this other side of this distribution at 64.70, and if we can break above that, the 72 and 74 areas are your immediate targets above. So that's what I'm looking at. Howard, do you have anything? I'm losing my voice. Do you have anything above us? I'm sorry, do you have anything that you want to show us?
No, I don't have anything ready to go for today.
Okay, great. Sorry, I'm having a hard time talking. So that's going to complete our, our morning session. I'll go ahead and post the chart with the targets and levels into the room. And as always, trade well, trade safe, and we'll catch it on the flip side.